Did you know in 18 days it's going to be spring? We're in March now. I think it's time to plant us some corn. Hello, welcome to our garden. Today's 2nd of March. It is a little bit overcast now, but it's been lovely and sunny. Greenhouse is at a nice little 20 degrees, believe it or not. So now we're in March, it's time to start with more and more of the seedlings. So today I'm going to be planting 3 things. I've got to set up my corn because 1st of March is usually when I do it. 2nd of March, close enough, isn't it? So we're setting them up. I'm going to do something slightly different this year with some loo rolls. So yeah, figure out whether that works well or not together. Also going to plant up some pak choy, some spring onions, and if I get time, I'm going to be putting a few more broad beans in. Because I kind of want to have lots of them because they're quite high yield. They're quite an early crop as well. Sort of June time should be getting them, which will be a nice little start to the glut of the harvest. But yeah, so corn. I grow it every year. Last year was awful. It was such a terrible thing to. It just didn't work. I think we had 3 cobs. I planted, what was it, 21 plants and then an additional 7 plants. It just didn't work very well at all. So I'm going to plant a lot less this year. Although seeding up, I'm still going to be planting a fair few, but that's because I've had issues with seeding up. So good old Wilco got me 2 packs. So these are incredible, what they're called, but it's an F1 variety. So I'm planting these up today. We have got from one of the lovely little gardening magazines, because my pak choy seeds are 3 years old, and I got this, which I can't complain with. So a couple of different varieties of pak choy. So they're going to be going straight out in the bed. The corn is not. What the corn is going to be planted in is in the loo rolls. I've already chucked these all in a tray. You can see that. So the plan is plant these all up in here, leave them in the greenhouse. They won't do well with frost at all. They're not a very hardy plant. So these are going to be in the greenhouse for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Last frost date I think was 53 days away, so I've still got quite a bit of time until last frost date. Once that's passed, these are going to go out in the bed. I've got a 1 metre by 1 metre bed at the back of this greenhouse, literally the other side of the camera. That's where these are going to end up. So just thinking about spacing, I think I'm only going to plant 9 of these. Last year I tried to also do a cover crop. I'd seen quite a few people, they'll plant things down on low level for it and you get more production from it, and that's fantastic, and that's why I wanted to try it. But I ended up last year not getting bugger all corn. It could be because I went over the top with the cover crop. I planted salads, nasturtiums and artichokes, I think it was. All of it failed, just appallingly. So this year I'm going to grow less and see if I get a better yield, which I imagine I will. So 9 plants is all that will go in the ground. You need a fair few of them so they're all nice together, because these are pollinated by wind. So obviously you get the ferrules at the top, all poke out. The wind blows the pollen off of that, lands onto the silks, which is what connects to each of the kernels in your cobs. And then you get nicely pollinated cobs of corn. So I'm going to go for less, and worst case scenario, if I'm not getting the right amount of pollination from them, I'll come in with a paintbrush and I'll self-pollinate without any issue. It's not that difficult to do, and later on in the year I'll show you how to do that. But yeah, so I'll plant that. I'll tell you what, should we do this one first, shall we? Let's bring you in. Right, so all we've got here at the moment is Jack's Magic. So a nice bit of compost. So this is a fresh bag I've just picked up. So I'll break this up, make it all nice and loose. Now, another thing I'm doing differently this year. Last year I swore by perlite, which is the stuff you can see in the soil just here, and I didn't understand the reasoning for using vermiculite. However, this year I've spoken to a few people and they all swear by it, so I picked up a bag of vermiculite and I will be using it for all my seed starts. So I'll be using it for the corn here. So get your compost, figure out where you put the hole for the vermiculite and you pour a load of that in. I believe it's meant to be roughly 1 to 3. Ooh, if my bag will let it out, that is. There we go. And give that a good mix. Oh, I've just poured a load on the blooming floor now. Oh well. Give this a mix up. Now, the reason why I'm putting it in the old loo rolls is twofold. So, corn I find can be a little bit picky. If you disturb its roots too much, the plant tends to be quite stunted. It doesn't grow too well, or it just perishes, which, you know, is not ideal, to say the least. With the loo rolls, once the plant's significant and ready to pot out, all I need to do is dig that hole and put the whole plant in. Loo rolls are biodegradable, so all that'll do is add extra carbon into my raised beds, which it really is not a bad thing at all. It's the same sort of cardboard that I put in the composters, so no real issue there. Oh, that's not good, is it? Big old stick. So just fill these up. Now with corn, you need to pop them roughly 1.5 centimetres under, so not too deep. But for that, all I need to do is just press down on this. It's really nice and loose, this compost now. You just see me squishing it all up, making it all nice and loose. And the vermiculite is going to add some nutrients. So as the seeds start growing, they've already got some feed in there, and it's going to support their growth in that way. Right then, let's pop some seeds in here. Now, I have seen some people, and I've done it in the past, where put 2 seeds in per tub, nip out the one that isn't as strong. I'm not going to do it this year because, as I said, I don't need all these plants. So the ones that don't germinate, it's not really a problem. There you go. So these are the corn seeds, just dried kernels. I just pop 1 in per tub in the centre, and then we'll backfill a little bit more soil, water it, and then leave it in the greenhouse. Now, it does need a little bit of additional cover. I'll be honest, I've not figured out what I'm going to use for that yet, because this is a bit of an awkward size. It's not what I normally have in here. But I'll figure something out, I'm sure, before the video's done anyway. That won't be a problem. The only thing I do struggle with these, and it's the same with those little recyclable tubs, where am I? Here they are. Same with these little things here. So the water does tend to sit in the bottom or disappear out the sides. Because these haven't obviously got bottoms to them, I'm kind of expecting this to just fall out the sides rather than drenching all the way down. So I'll probably water this a couple of times today before I'm done. There we go. Firm them in a little bit, make sure they're all happy, as they seem to be. Brilliant, that's them done. Sorted. Now, germination for these is about 7 to 21 days. If we're going to get a cold snap, it'll be closer to the 21 than it will be to the 7. But that's not a problem. These are not something I need in the ground right now. I just need them potted up right now. And these will just do their own thing for the next month and a half. And yeah, that's that. So I suppose we should probably go get set up for this now, shouldn't we? Right then, so Pak Choy is going to go in this bed. Hello Riley. You can say hello to the camera, are you? So this bed has only been here for a year and a bit, so we still have quite a bit of clay in here, which isn't totally ideal, but there's also lots of lovely decomposed matter in here, which is good. Also got a lot of mycelium starting to grow in here as well, which isn't as good. I made the mistake last year of planting nasturtiums, and if you can see that on that camera, but there are nasturtium pods everywhere. So on the plus side, I'm not going to have to plant them again. Right then, so all I'm going to do is using a stick. Swimming labels from last year, still need to sort that out. just make a rough line. Now for my sake, I'm going to put my tags in now, because as soon as I bury this I guarantee I'll forget where they are. There to there. Now, so we've got an attractive mix of red and green leaves. Not too bad, is it? Going to be 2 separate packets or just one? Blue plane going over. So I think this is just a full mix, yeah, just a mix of both of them. So with pak choy they're fairly hardy, so I shouldn't have to worry too much about the frost, but if it does get really cold then we'll obviously have to come back in and put a cloche over it, or just a bit of fleece, but either way that's not a problem. A bit of singing. So the seeds themselves, a little bit smaller than a radish, but very similar shape. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Really must get a better camera for this. And then I'm just going to put a gentle sprinkling across. With these, obviously, we will have to prick out the weaker of the plants, which isn't a problem. Nope, let's sprinkle across. Yep, hello cat. You hungry, are you? That's them done. And then all we need to do is firm them in. Now, it was raining this morning and last night, so I'm not going to water these in because there's already more than enough in there. Firm them down. That's the first of the pak choy in. Now I suppose we'll bring you over to the onions. Right, so the apple tree. So this is the bed which we will end up having the corn growing in. So my intention with the spring onions is I'm going to do a thin line on this side for now. Apparently a piece of glass has just fallen out of my greenhouse. Let's get that out actually. Living greenhouses, eh? How's that gone and got broken? Oh dear. That'll be another job for the list then. Put you down there for the moment so you don't get broken. Right, onions, that's what we're doing. So, yes, this bed's the same age as the other one. It has got a lot of nice compost that's rotting in, and I can actually see the worms have been doing their job because I can see quite a few of their little piles in it, so that's good. Do still have weeds coming through, which is a shame, but on the whole this isn't actually too bad of a bed. We've got 2 frames on it, the frame just here going over to behind the camera, that's where my grapes are, and the second one's where my thornless blackberries are. We had a couple of the thornless blackberries last year, but that was their first year being in, so hopefully this year we should get quite a nice yield off of them. So again, I would use the stick, but I don't know where I put it. I just lost it again. Now the onions don't have to be in too deep, so just a small little channel will do fine for them. And then these spring onions, so germination I believe is about 60 days for these. Yeah, 60 days, which is good. Onions obviously being part of the allium family, they are hardy, so these I won't have to worry about at all when it comes to the frost, which is good. I just gently sprinkle them in. And the wife seems to be going through an awful lot of them at the minute, so I'm quite pleased I'm getting them in the ground now. And again, peg them down, fold them in, and the bed's already nice and moist, so no issues there. Now at the back here we do have, I can't remember if it's 2 or maybe 3 crowns of asparagus. They came up last year brilliantly. With asparagus you don't pick them the first year, they need time to be able to develop their roots. Very similar to rhubarb, if you overpick it, it just won't survive. So last year with its first progression year, this year we'll take a few stalks from it, but then next year we should be able to get sustained proper harvests. Right, What else was it I was going to do down here today? Oh, I'm sure I'll remember in a minute. Before I start planting these, so this section here, I've just spent 15 minutes or so trying to remove the mint. There's a couple of irises in there as well, which they'll go in the main garden. This is why I don't want to grow mint again. There's actually some falling off. Each section of this root network, even just a couple of inches snapped off, if I put that in the ground, that'll grow into a new plant. So I don't think I'm going to get rid of the mint ever in this bed again. But, you know, we'll find out. Right, should we plant some broad beans? Right then, so, broad beans. Best way to plant them, 25 centimetres apart, 10 centimetres between each row. So roughly inch apart, and then, yeah. So we're going to fill this whole bed up and see how well we do. I've only got big sticks though. So first thing that I'm going to do is create a grid. So using a trusty dibber, I've got markings on it so I can see all the markings across. I'm actually just going to eyeball it, I think. I'll tell you what I'm going to do now is dibber this whole thing up, plant all of the broad beans, and I'll do that on a, what do they call it, time lapse? Let's do that. Right then, so that was a bit quicker for you than it was for me. I think it was only about 11 seconds on that hyperlapse, but yeah, pleased with that. So yeah, so the beans are all in. I put all those little white labels in because that mint is coming back. There's no if, no but, no maybe. And the last thing I want to do is go pulling out a bean shoot when I really don't need to. I've got some broad beans that I've been nurturing along in here. It's nowhere near deep enough. That's not why I'm growing them. They're simply to bung into a nice stir fry. Because the tops on these are gorgeous. So yeah. So that's everything for today. We've done the pak choy. We've got the corn all potted up. So that's now going to make it move and start soaking up that water, and then we'll get ourselves some nice corn. Spring onions got their first run in. Over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks, I'll probably put in a new run every week. Because yeah, we go through a few spring onions, so get them in like that, and then they're always staggered. I don't know what we'll be doing next. Probably the pond. We'll give you a sneaky peek at where we're at with that in a minute. But every year for the last few years, our next door neighbours have kindly allowed us to take a bucket of frog spawn out of their pond. A little fish tank we set up outside, and the kids get to watch them grow up. My daughter last year told me to put a couple of the YouTube shorts on of these little froglets, and people seem to like them. So I think this year we'll do a little how-to, well, or more to the point, how we do with helping these froglets grow. And yeah, we thought this year we'll invest ourselves in a bigger pond, because beforehand it was a 25 litre bucket basically that we'd put in the ground, and the frogs seemed to come in. We actually had newts last year, so this year we've put a much bigger pond in. We're in the process of doing it at the minute. If I do show you a sneaky peek, it's not finished yet. We're not happy with the way the stones look, and we've not put any of the stuff in it yet. I think there's my Japanese water lily in there at the moment. That's just because I don't want it to dry out. But yeah, so that's to come, and loads more planting to come, but I think we'll call it a day for today because I'm desperate for a brew. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Please do consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this content. Also feel free to leave a comment. I always love reading the stuff that's on there, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye. Just finished building my own little filter off of a little solar panel. That one there. So that's feeding onto that. plastic container, bit of filter material and some stones to laden it down just to try and help start cleaning this water. You can see there's the pot with the lily in there. This is a lot deeper than that. That's just a little shelf. There is a large amount of frog spawn already in here. However, it's sunk down to the bottom, which from what I understand means that stuff's not going to last. So that's got to come out and I'll need to get some fresh frog spawn. But there are already frogs in here. I counted 4 or 5 last night. So yeah, exciting things to come.